Good day, subscribers, and welcome into the Financial Education channel. If you're new here, I am Jeremy, and today I want to talk with you guys on why I potentially see the stock market struggling quite a bit for the rest of the month of April. We have about 3 full trading weeks left in the stock market for the month of April, and there are 5 different reasons why I see actually the stock market potentially struggling quite a bit that are some negatives for the stock market, at least in the short term, that I want to discuss with you guys and kind of like my frame of thought around this. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you, will I be doing something different in the month of April? Will I be selling off stocks? Have I already sold off stocks? Will I be buying stocks more heavily? Any of those type of things. So I hope you guys kind of enjoy this video. Hope you get a lot of value out of it. Smash that thumbs up button, all right? So, reason number 1 on why I see the stock market potentially struggling quite a bit for the remainder of the month of April is basically buybacks are basically going to go into what's called a blackout period, okay? So, what you have essentially is you have massive amounts of public companies buying back their shares pretty much constantly. However, once earnings come, okay, which everybody's kind of getting into their earnings now or getting very close, once you get into that close time, you basically have a blackout period where you cannot do your share buybacks essentially. So all these companies that are buying tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions of dollars of their own stock back, which is obviously helps because you have a massive buyer in the market. Sometimes for some of these stocks, the biggest buyer in the market is literally their own company buying back the shares, okay? But essentially you're going to have a blackout period for almost all the public companies for the remainder of the month of April. So that creates a situation where all these big buyers basically are not in the market, which are spending, like I said, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions of dollars literally each month buying back their shares, okay? So you got this blackout period, and that's not a good thing for the stock market, all right? Also, the first quarter, 1Q was amazing, okay? Let's just put it that way. 1Q was amazing, okay? This was the strongest first quarter in terms of stock market performance since, I believe it was 1998, okay? We're talking like over 2 decades here. The first quarter of 2019 here was amazing. Now, generally when you have that unbelievable of a quarter, you all of a sudden, the next quarter usually tends to either be very weak or actually be a negative quarter because usually you just don't put 2 amazing straight quarters like that. Like literally, it was the best quarter for the stock market literally since like 1998, okay? So usually you don't just come with another quarter of just unbelievable growth to the sky. That's not usually how it works. So being that 1Q was so amazing, that's not exactly the best thing, at least going into the future quarter, okay? Usually, if anything, you like it to be like what happened in 4Q, where 4Q was a disaster for the stock market, right? 4Q, October, November, and December 2018 were a complete disaster. If anything, you kind of look at the next quarter as like there's some potential there, okay? So 1Q was amazing. That usually bodes not the best for the next quarter, all right? Also, reason number 3 is earnings are coming out, okay? Earnings are all going to be coming out more than likely, or most public companies are going to be reporting for the remainder of April. The week coming up, the following week, and the following week, 80% plus of public companies will be reporting their earnings. And here's what we're looking at with earnings. We have a lot of weakness on the international markets, and we did have definitely some slowdown in the domestic market in the United States as well. That obviously is not the best situation for earnings. Now, can some companies still beat earnings? Absolutely. But I'm looking and there's probably going to be a significant amount of companies that barely meet earnings or actually miss earnings, and that's never a good look, especially when you're coming off of amazing stock market performance. Then you're kind of almost expecting amazing earnings. Some companies will have amazing earnings. I'm not sure most companies are going to have it. Also, on top of that, this past quarter, okay, which the last time most companies reported was January and into the beginning part of February. When most companies reported out there, I saw most stocks actually move up dramatically on their earnings. I saw stock after stock this past earnings season move up 5%, 10%, 15% on their earnings days. When you're coming off that strong of a period in terms of stock market performance for a lot of these stocks, that makes it really tough for that next earnings period, because then if you're going to get another 5, 10, 15% gain out of most of these stocks, these earnings need to be amazing. I'm just not convinced most companies are going to be reporting amazing earnings in this next upcoming quarter. I think some will, the select few, and the rest are going to barely meet or actually miss their earnings, okay? So that obviously makes it another tough thing for the month of April, all right? Reason number 4 why I think the rest of April is going to be tough is basically a lot of the good is already priced in, okay? Like I said, we had an amazing 1Q. What this basically did is this priced in a lot of good news. So let's say we get a trade deal between the China and US. Let's say we get that in the back half of April, right? I'm not even sure that would help the market that dramatically, because I think a lot of that has already been priced in to a lot of stocks in the market or the stock market in general. So when I just kind of look at it, I'm saying there's quite a bit that's already priced in here on a short-term basis. So if you're thinking, you know, let's say a trade deal gets done between the US and China into April. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, the stock market's going to go shoot up 1,000 points or 2,000 points whenever that news comes out, I'm just not sure about that, because I think a lot of folks are expecting that to happen. I think a lot of investment fund managers are expecting that to happen, and hedge fund managers. So I think that's already kind of been priced in the market. I think if anything bad happened in terms of there wasn't a trade deal to get done at the end of April, and it was like, oh no, the tariffs are moving up, that could be an ugly situation for the stock market, because I think very few people are expecting that. Most people are expecting there's a trade deal to get done, and they've already kind of priced that in. A lot of these stocks are in the market in general. Okay, that's kind of reason number 4. And reason number 5, this is a very interesting one. So I think home sales for basically the month of April and kind of what comes out there into the springtime, home sales are going to be very strong in the United States. Okay, I think they're going to probably be up nice year over year. I think they're going to beat most analysts' expectations. I think the spring season is going to be an amazing season for home sales. All right, now why is this? Mainly because obviously the jobs market's good right now, and number 2, because interest rates have fallen dramatically. And I think a lot of people are saying, okay, now we can go ahead and take advantage of these interest rates. All right. Now, here's where this is a bad thing, because here's what's going to happen. If home sales are really strong, and then you got strong employment, guess what people are going to start talking about? Oh, the Fed needs to raise rates. Oh, the Fed should raise rates. And the stock market doesn't want the Fed to raise rates, right? The Fed had announced they might raise rates like 3 times in 2019. Now they're talking about not at all. And so if all of a sudden home sales come out strong and you have a strong employment picture, the Fed's going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should revisit possibly raising rates in 2019. That scares the stock market. Obviously, that's a very negative thing, at least from the stock market price perspective. And a lot of these fund managers are so scared if the Fed raises the rates 0.25%, 0.5%, what's going to happen? So needless to say, that's why I think you just have a lot of negatives kind of going for the market right now, at least for the back half of April and maybe even into part of May, okay? The question is, will I do anything different in the month of April? Am I going to sell off stocks? Have I sold off stocks? Will I be buying more heavily or anything like that? And the answer is absolutely not. April is going to be just normal month for me in terms of, buying or selling or any of those sorts of things. I try to always make decisions based upon where valuations are at with, individual stocks and things like that. Just because I think it might be a struggle in the back half of April, it doesn't mean I'm going to go ahead and say, oh my gosh, let me sell all my stocks, because this also could not happen, okay? And I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know for sure if the stock market will go down in the month of April or into May or anything like that. I'm just looking at it and I say there's definitely a lot of negatives, but it's nothing that makes me say, oh, I got to go sell all my Facebook stock. Oh my gosh, I got to sell all my ELF stock. I got to go sell all, Skyworks Solutions and all these great companies I own. I'm not going to go ahead and sell all those stocks just because, something might happen that's going to be negative for the market. I just look at it as, hey, if the market does struggle and the market does go down, let's say a 5% move, 10% move down in the back half of April or into May or something like that, great. That opens up some buying opportunities, because I haven't been buying many stocks at all the past month or so because the stock market has just flown up. Valuations have got a lot richer. I'm not nearly as interested as a buyer at this point in time. So, I'm kind of hoping like the markets goes down a bit in April and into May and maybe even into the summer. There's a good old sell in May and go away type thing. I hope, we kind of, have some weakness going into summer and whatnot, because I would love to start buying some stocks heavily again. There's just not a lot of stocks right now that I'm looking at. I'm like, that's a great deal. For instance, last month or, in the month of March, I only had 1 stock that was on 3 stocks I'm buying. Last month, I only had 2 stocks. So that kind of shows you that there are not that many good deals, in my opinion, just going out there right now. So that's why the stock market could struggle in the back half of April and maybe even moving into May. Just wanted to kind of share with you guys my frame of thought there. Thank you for watching and have a great day. By the way, just want to say something real quick here at the end. If you're one of those people that's thinking, oh man, the stock market's going to go down, that's so bad or something like that, you shouldn't really be thinking about that, especially if you're young. If anything, you should be rooting for the stock market to go down in the short term so you can buy a lot more shares a lot cheaper. I never understand this mentality, especially from young people that might have a few $100 or a few $1,000 in the market that are like, oh my gosh, I need the stock market to go up. No, guys, you should always be rooting, at least in the short term, for stocks to go down so you can add to positions heavily and then go ahead and hopefully sell them out when the stock market goes up over time. So just wanted to point that out, especially for a lot of you young guys out there. Anyways, have a great day, guys. Peace.